friends, Laura here from Lalo Yoga and Wellness, and welcome to Radical Wellness Wednesday. This is where we talk about tips that you can follow in your daily life, monthly milestones you can set for yourself, as well as annual inspiration to help move you forward in your wellness. We take this approach because it's really important to be able to have some small wins in those daily steps that you can take. They immediately can impact your life, and then start taking some bigger steps and then really pushing out into those annual aspirations so that you can continue to grow your own personal wellness. Today's focus is going to be on mental wellness. It's such a big topic these days, and for good reason. We live in a stressful world, and we need to be able to find ways to help dial down that stress just a little bit. So the primary thing that we're going to talk about first in our daily steps is just doing some mindfulness meditation. And that can be really challenging for some people. The thought of, sitting still in that uncomfortable cross-legged position and trying to empty your mind. And what I really want to do right here is let you know that you don't need to do any of that. You can if you want to, if that's the type of meditation that you enjoy and that works for you. But for most people, that's pretty challenging to do. We don't always have an hour maybe to dedicate to meditation. I'm suggesting maybe 10 minutes. And that can be anything that you want it to be. It could be a 10-minute mindfulness walk. Mindfulness meditation is about really letting yourself be present, noticing every little thing that is happening right at that moment. So if you're taking a mindfulness walk, then you are focused on each step that you're taking. And that really helps get you into your body, into your mind, into your environment. And that's how you keep your mind from racing off into a whole bunch of different directions. It's not about trying to empty your mind. It's more about trying to focus your mind. And of course, your mind is going to stray. So in those cases, you just bring yourself back as soon as you notice that you've started to stray, and you don't beat yourself up for it. You just say, oh, I've gotten off track. Let me get back into my mindfulness walk. It could be guided meditations. I really enjoy those. In fact, I've recorded some of them and have put them out there for my followers to utilize, because sometimes I feel like it's easier to help follow that voice to help focus your mind. So you can use that type of meditation to help yourself fall asleep, just to get clear on things, or just to begin to focus your mind, whatever it is that you would like to put out as your intention for your meditation. It can even be simple things like watering your plants, or maybe it's sitting on a cushion and or in some other comfortable position, maybe even lying down, and doing a body scan from head to toe. It's really just about being super present in whatever it is that you're doing for that 10 minutes. And we all have 10 minutes. I know some days it feels like I'm so busy, there's just no way I have time for this, but we spend 10 minutes probably on our devices or in front of the TV or doing something else that is more mindless. Let's see if we can replace that with something that's more mindful. The second area that we want to look at is what we could do on a monthly basis. And it's really about getting out of your ordinary routine. So if your weekends are typically filled with running errands and trying to get things done and finishing up the laundry and cleaning the house and washing the dog and all of those kinds of things, that's a lot of stuff that does need to be done, of course, but it doesn't really allow for you to recharge mentally. So maybe taking some time, whether it's a little weekend getaway, somewhere that's peaceful and calm. It could even just be a day trip or 2 separate day trips, but something that helps get you away from your usual environment and away from your usual routines and allows you to focus more on yourself. The one thing you need to be cautious about on that score is filling it with a bunch of activity. So not that it's not okay to do some active things, but if you're treating your monthly recharge as an opportunity to hit all the local hotspots and dash out to some cool tourist site in your own town or something like that, it's probably not going to give you a lot of recharge. Might be fun, and that's okay too, but you really want to start to focus on how can I sort of dial back a little bit? How can I wind down a little bit and be a little bit more introspective? So maybe just taking a day and finding something that works for you on that score. Now we look at what you could do on an annual basis. And I actually really love this one. It's really about doing an annual mental health check. So this could include perhaps if you have a mental health professional that you work with, speaking with them, but really it can start with just a self-assessment. How have things been the last year? Have you been handling things the way that you want to? Maybe you use some different screening tools that you could find on the internet to ask yourself some really good, solid, reflective questions. And then, of course, journaling. We talked a little bit about that last week when we talked about our emotional health and using a gratitude journal. But we can also use just a regular journal, and you can take a look back at what you've done over the past year and just sort of reflect on what are the thoughts that you really have been recording, whether it's written, maybe you do a verbal, into a recorded device, but taking a look back and really kind of seeing how things are going for you. And then if you feel like that's warranted, then you could take that to a professional. So whether it's a regular therapist, there's a lot of online therapists. It's just something that you can talk through and get an external perspective by a trained professional that can help understand or see patterns in your behaviors and things like that that you might want to look at and address. And along with that, I think a really important one is to look at your coping mechanisms. So for some of us, maybe when we're feeling stressed, do we tend to eat, overeat, hit those cookies really hard? Maybe you're got to have that glass of wine or 3 every single night because you feel like that's the only way you can cool off at the end of the day. Maybe it's every time you feel a little stressed, you go out and go to Amazon and buy a new t-shirt or whatever it is. Start looking at what your activities are that you turn to when you are feeling stressed, because some of those things aren't that healthy, and you want to think about ways that you could do something else. Anytime that you want to change a habit, you don't like the way that you're doing something, you can't just say, I'm going to stop that habit. You need to replace that habit with something that's healthier. So think through how you would replace what you consider a negative habit with a more positive habit. So whether that's I'm going to take a walk instead of shopping, I'm going to take a class at the gym instead of eating cookies, whatever it is, have a different method that's going to help you with coping with difficult situations, because they're going to pop up no matter what. Another thing you might want to look at when you're doing this self-assessment on the annual basis is set up some goals and develop an action plan. So kind of like what you're doing right now for your overall wellness, really focus on your mental health and think about the things that you would need to do to improve your mental health. So it might be getting out of a toxic relationship, a toxic job. It might be learning some ways to deal with those situations or improve those situations if that's a possibility. So think about the things that are negatively impacting you now. They may even be things that you're doing to yourself, and figure out ways that you want to change that and how you're going to change it. Make sure you follow up on each one of these things that you want to change and adjust your plan if it doesn't seem to be doing what you want. You also really want to start focusing, going back to our daily discussion, on how you can integrate taking care of your mental health on a daily basis. You really do want to start implementing some of those things, because if you wait until you're in an emergency situation, you're not going to be prepared to deal with it and to cope with it. So these small habits that you can start doing on that daily basis or that monthly basis are going to help support your long-term mental health. And so it might require some lifestyle adjustments, and it can be challenging to do that. Maybe you need to find someone that can help you with that, whether it's a professional or even some of your friends and family. Sometimes be aware of those friends and family, because they don't always want you to change. They may think that they do, but sometimes it's easier to have you the way that you are. So just be aware of anybody that seems like maybe they're giving a little bit of pushback on you working on and focusing on your mental health. And the final thing that you want to commit to for all of these is continued learning. Read about it, work with professionals, seek out people that can help support you in your quest to have a stronger mental health and mental wellness plan for yourself. If you like this video, please make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will do everything I can to address all these different aspects of your mental, physical, financial, your holistic approach to your wellness. And I can only do that with your support.